Well, hello there, people. Jason here, Great Country Agriculture. It's incredibly noisy outside right now. There's a lot of traffic on the freeway, and so I've taken the liberty of overdubbing this and coming back inside. I'm just going to show you around
Don't
out
forget
here
to
in
come
the
down and use
front
the
where
bird
we've
bath,
got
okay?
some black-eyed peas growing in and amongst the cannas. And on the south side here, we didn't have too many cannas come up, so there's some empty spots that are coming up this time of year. Now, you can always fill these in with just about anything you want to, but we're going to put in some daikon radish and some buckwheat, mainly because the daikon radish is going to add some organic matter to the soil, and the buckwheat is just something that we can have that can grow up and can produce some sort of yield in between now and when frost hits, most likely. So that's the thinking there. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and express an opinion. This is kind of what I would advise Donald Trump if someone was to ask me for my advice. And this bit of advice comes from a very, very old Taoist classic called The Keeper of the Secret Storehouse. And the segment is the way of agriculture. If people abandon the fundamental for the secondary, then there is disunity. Without unity, defense is impossible, and war is not feasible. If people abandon the fundamental for the secondary, then their productivity will be limited. When productivity is limited, people easily drift into vagrancy. When people easily drift into vagrancy, the country suffers disasters from time to time, and everyone wants to immigrate, no longer wishing to live there. When people abandon the fundamental for the secondary, then they crave knowledge, and when they crave knowledge, there is a lot of deceit. When there is a lot of deceit, then laws are artificially elaborated. When laws are artificially elaborated, then what is right is considered wrong, and what is wrong is considered right. The means by which ancient sage kings governed people was by first striving to get people to farm, or in the modern era, I would say to garden. Getting people to farm is not just for the sake of amassing profits. What is valued is carrying out their aims. And I'm going to really, every single time that I come across the word farm, I'm going to replace it with the word garden because it's much more appropriate and much more productive for people to be focusing on gardens. So when people garden, they're uncomplicated. When people are uncomplicated, they're easy to employ. When people are easy to employ, the land is secure. When there is security, the leadership is respected. When people garden, they are innocent, and when they are innocent, they have few personal prejudices. When people have few personal prejudices, then fair common law is established with deep and far-reaching power. When people garden, their produce is abundant. When produce is abundant, they do not drift into vagrancy. When they do not drift into vagrancy, they live out their lives where they are, without second thoughts, and the whole land is of one mind. Even the social order of ancient sage kings was not beyond unifying the hearts of all in the land. The reason ancient sage leaders worked at plowing and spinning was to make these basic education. This is why emperors personally led the lords in plowing the sacred fields of the ancestral shrines, and the grandees had ranks according to their work. It was to encourage people to honor productivity. The empress and the concubines would lead the palace ladies in raising silkworms in the suburban mulberry groves and public fields as an instructive example for housewives. And for just a moment here, I'm going to take an aside and address that if you are reading in Homer, the Iliad, you will find Odysseus at the very beginning of the entire affair out there in his field plowing. He's a king. Males do not weave, yet they wear clothing. Females do not plow, yet they eat. And take in mind the time this was written. Men and women exchange the fruits of their labor, helping each other do their work. This is the system of the sage kings. Therefore they respected the seasons and loved the days. They measured their fruits to determine accomplishments. They didn't stop working unless they were old and didn't take time off unless they were sick. One person working, thus, could feed 10 people. When they were engaged in seasonal work, they didn't undertake major construction projects and did not equip armies. The men did not take wives from elsewhere, and the women did not go elsewhere to marry. The men did not go out riding, and the women did not take trips, because that would interfere with gardening. The Yellow Emperor said the 4 seasons cannot be corrected. We can only correct the 5 grains. The one who sows and cultivates them is humanity. The one who creates them is heaven. The one who nurtures them is earth. Therefore, the sowing requires feet. Raking soil over newly sown grain requires a harrow. Weeding requires hands. This is called the way of tilling. The text goes on and such alike, but I believe the message imparted is clear enough. Whenever we're employed in our own gardens, our hands are not idle, and our minds are focused on our own work. As a result, we're a little too busy to cause trouble with our neighbors. And having abundance, we're happy to share the fruits of what we've produced, even if the garden was only just a little thing that we do on the side. So, my advice, encourage gardening, and perhaps think about establishing a family farm for America. Lord knows we need one. You've been watching Green Country Agroforestry. If you found this video informative or entertaining, you know what to do. I'll catch you next time. Till then, get out there and get growing.